If you've been following the news lately, you probably heard Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen's warning that the U.S. will hit its borrowing limit sometime between January 14th and 23rd. And just like clockwork, the debt ceiling debate is once again heating up in Congress. First off, let's talk about what this whole debt ceiling thing is. The U.S. government is basically a giant entity that spends money, a lot of money. In order to finance its spending on things like defense, healthcare, social programs, and interest on existing debt, the government borrows money through issuing treasury bonds. But there is a limit to how much the U.S. can borrow according to U.S. law. That's the debt ceiling. Right now, the U.S. is once again nearing that borrowing limit, and if Congress doesn't act to raise or suspend it, we're looking at a very real possibility of the government defaulting on its debt. That's a huge problem for everyone, whether you're in Asia, Africa, or Latin America, because if the U.S. can't pay its bills, it could send shock waves across the globe, causing turmoil in emerging markets, skyrocketing borrowing costs for countries, and potential financial instability. And it's not just about the debt ceiling. The bigger problem here is the U.S. debt itself and the growing deficit. The U.S. government is currently sitting on a debt pile of over $36 trillion. That's more than the combined GDP of a handful of the world's largest economies, and about $100,000 for every single person in America. Now, here's the thing. This debt has been growing for decades with no real plan in place to get it under control. Every year, it borrows more to cover that gap. The result? The national debt continues to spiral upwards. And every time Congress faces this debt ceiling moment, it highlights how far the U.S. is from achieving fiscal sustainability. One of the most pressing issues in the U.S. debt crisis is the increasing burden of interest payments on the national debt. Interest on the debt is currently the fastest growing part of the budget, nearly doubling from $345 billion in fiscal year 2020 to $659 billion in fiscal year 2023, and net interest is on track to reach $870 billion by the end of fiscal year 2024. Spending on interest is now the second largest line item in the budget. By 2051, interest will be the largest line item in the budget, according to forecast of Congressional Budget Office. This is a clear illustration of just how much of the government's resources are being consumed by debt obligations. Can the U.S. fix it? It's a tough question. On one hand, the U.S. has a huge diversified economy, which gives it a lot of leeway. But on the other hand, the nation's political gridlock makes it difficult to address the long-term fiscal imbalances. Even with the unified government under President-elect Donald Trump, finding consensus on how to tackle the debt and deficit issue is easier said than done. In fact, ratings agency Fitch has warned that a narrow Republican majority in the House could delay or prevent meaningful action on the debt ceiling, adding more uncertainty to the situation. The real question is, how long can the U.S. continue this game of kick the can down the road? History has shown that they will probably find a way to delay default again, but the fact that they are in this position at all raises serious questions about the long-term health of the U.S. economy.